I never imagined a wedding would be the place where my own marriage would fall apart. It was one of those bright early summer weekends. Everything warm, easy, and expensive. My best friend from college, Tyler, was getting married, and my wife, Claire, looked breathtaking as we left the house. She wore a light blue dress that made heads turn a little longer than they should have. I remember thinking how lucky I was. I just didn't know I was walking beside someone I no longer recognized. The drive took an hour, filled with casual conversation and music. Claire kept glancing at her phone, smiling at messages she didn't share. I didn't ask. After 6 years together, I'd learned that silence often kept things smooth. Back then, I thought silence meant peace. I was wrong. The reception took place at a vineyard estate. Fairy lights strung over tables, a jazz band playing softly, champagne flowing endlessly. At first, everything felt effortless. Claire laughed easily, touched arms that weren't mine, and I convinced myself she was just being friendly. When the toast began, she excused herself to freshen up. 15 minutes passed. Then 20. A knot formed in my chest, invisible but pulling tighter every second. I told myself not to be that husband, not the jealous one. But when the band started playing our song, the one we used to dance to, I couldn't help scanning the room. She was gone. My stomach dropped. I stepped outside to call her, and that's when I saw them, just beyond the side garden, under the soft glow of a terrace light. Claire stood close, too close, to a man I didn't recognize at first. Then it clicked. I'd seen him before, buried deep in old photos on her phone. Ryan, her college ex, the mistake from another life. They were speaking quietly, then laughing. She reached up and fixed his tie with a familiarity that stung. He leaned in, whispered something, and she didn't pull away. The distance between them vanished, and the world went still. People describe anger as fire. Mine was ice. I watched for maybe 5 seconds, just long enough to understand everything, long enough to etch it into memory forever. I didn't shout. I didn't make a scene. I turned, walked back inside, and poured myself a glass of whiskey that tasted like metal. 15 minutes later, she returned, cheeks flushed, pretending nothing had happened. "Sorry, I ran into someone from college," she said lightly, as if I hadn't just seen her undo our vows with one careless touch. I smiled. That must have been nice. She blinked, waiting for a reaction that never came. That silence. I think it scared her more than anger ever could. The rest of the night, I played my role. I laughed. I danced. I toasted. But inside, I was already planning my escape. They say betrayal makes people lose their minds. For me, it made everything crystal clear. Love without respect isn't love. It's pity. When we got home, I told her I was exhausted and went straight to the guest room. She didn't question it. Maybe she thought I was drunk. I wasn't. I lay awake the entire night, replaying what I'd seen under that terrace until it became a film I could pause, rewind, analyze. By sunrise, I knew exactly what to do. That morning, while she showered, I transferred half our savings into a private account and emailed the lawyer who had handled our mortgage. I didn't file for divorce. Not yet. I just wanted everything ready in case I needed it. I left for work without saying goodbye. At lunch, she sent a heart emoji. I didn't respond. For the next few days, I became a ghost wearing a smile. I didn't confront her. I wanted her to feel something worse than anger, doubt. I started working late, go to gym afterward, keeping my phone face down. I knew she'd notice a shift. The coldness. People who betray hate silence. It forces them to sit with their own guilt. A week later, she broke first. At dinner, she said softly, "You've been quiet lately. Did I do something?" I looked up from my plate, calm. "You tell me." Her expression changed. Fear flickered in her eyes. "What do you mean, Claire?" I said quietly. "Next time you want to catch up with Ryan, don't do it at a wedding." Her fork slipped from her hand. The sound of metal against porcelain felt like closure. She tried to speak. Excuses, denials, but I kept eating. I didn't yell. I didn't accuse. When I finished, I stood up and said, "I hope he was worth the look on your face right now." Then I walked out, That night, I checked into a hotel. The next day, I started looking for apartments. I didn't post about it. I didn't tell friends. I didn't create a scene. I simply removed myself from her world. She called. She texted. She begged to talk. I ignored her for 3 days. When I finally met her at the cafe, she suggested. She looked different. Makeup smudged. Voice small. It was a mistake, she whispered. Nothing happened. I nodded. Maybe, but something still died. It wasn't a marriage certificate. It was respect. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. I left that night without raising my voice, because yelling would have made it about anger. I wanted her to remember the silence, the same silence she gave me every time I asked if she was happy. She cried. I didn't. I paid for her coffee, stood, and said, "You'll realize what you lost when no one ever looks at you the way I did." Then I walked out, leaving her staring at the door like it might open again. Months later, I heard through mutual friends that she tried reaching out, saying I'd overreacted. But most of them knew the truth. Word got around, and the sympathy she expected turned into distance. Her regret didn't arrive with flowers. It arrived with silence, mine. As for me, I moved into a small apartment downtown, started running again, learned that quiet can sound peaceful, not empty. Sometimes I still think about that night at the wedding, but it doesn't ache anymore. It reminds me that endings often show up wearing formal clothes and fake smiles. And if she ever wonders why I walk away without a word, I hope she finally understands. I didn't leave to punish her. I left to protect the part of me she forgot to love.